International Media TV. Television that listens to you. Hi, I'm Johnnie Burrell. Welcome to the program.
I paint people on journeys mostly. Many of my paintings are of people alone, traveling, perhaps carrying a suitcase or leaving the suitcase behind, leaving the baggage behind. I feel like a lot of my paintings are self-portraits. They illustrate my life. They have a certain illustrative quality about them that captures the important events and especially the important emotions of my life. But sometimes people will come through and they'll stop in their tracks and they'll look at my work and they'll say, "That's me. I thought I was the only one who felt that way." And then I know that this painting illustrates their life as well. I just turned 50. And I'm discovering a whole new chapter of my life that where my life is going to be much more solitary as my kids are leaving home. And so I've been resolving that, working that through in my paintings. I also do paintings of groups of people in celebration. Birthdays are really important in my family, and I love how a birthday is a moment of celebrating not what you've accomplished, but who you really are. And so I have many paintings of people gathered around a birthday cake or arriving with a big celebratory hug. And I just want to use that to pause and celebrate the people who are important to me in my life. Many of my paintings are also of dancers. And I think relationship is kind of a dance. Sometimes one person leads, sometimes another person leads. And so I try and capture that also, that complex dynamic in my painting.
Birds are the true canaries in the coal mine of our planet. When I read a book by Scott Weidensaul called Living on the Wind, where he talked about bird migration, I felt like if I could show birds' nests to people, I could show them what they needed, or I could talk about what they needed. The birds' nests themselves are really phenomenal pieces of architecture. Can you imagine building them with a beak and a claw? The bank swallow nest is built by two birds that dig a tunnel 3 feet deep on an upwardly sloping bank on Ocean Beach. They are part of two nesting sites that are left on the California coast. They're not a threatened bird globally, but they are threatened locally because of habitat loss. The Caspian tern nest builds a nest in a scrape on the ground and camouflages itself with its eggs. The grackle nest is part of some habitat that was lost in Guatemala to a watermelon patch. So if I can tell you anything about caring about birds through these bird nest photographs, that's my goal, is to teach people about what I care about deeply on the planet.
You know, I just sort of do what I feel like doing. I don't have any, there's no plans. I just paint whatever comes, and they sort of reflect the way I feel, and It is kind of difficult to talk about paintings because I usually want the paintings to talk for themselves, to be able to communicate what I'm trying to say instead of having all this literature behind it. But anyway, there's the paintings. There's one right here, the artichoke, the hanging artichoke, and it's about a strange fruit. They sort of represent the human figure.
Growing up in India, I had the chance of having so many beautiful fabrics in front of me. And I mean, it's amazing. The place I come from, they had a lot of white fabric with gold borders. And different states in India had different kinds of techniques, weaves, and I was always fascinated by these fabrics. The climate dictated most of the colors sometimes, and that also intrigued me. And I just liked the way the fabrics hung from the lines when the dhobis would hang the saris, and in the wind they would blow back and forth, and they were just beautiful. Also, when the fabrics were unraveled, you know, the saris are 5.5 to 6 yards. When they unraveled, they just, the patterns and the colors would just keep coming out, and it looked like a storybook to me. I mean, the way the patterns always told me stories, and that's how I saw fabrics as. After getting a design degree in India, I went ahead and did a master's in the US in fabric design, and that's what's gotten me to where I am right now. I just like to work with different kinds of fabrics, mainly a lot of silks. I work with wool, and I also work with velvets. And the main thing is to dye them and print them to take the color out. I do like taking things apart, like taking the weaves out also. You start looking at the structure of the fabric, which is really intriguing, how people made the fabric, and that's always what I liked.
Goodbye.
These are bags that I make out of recycled fabric. One day I was at my pillow maker's and there were all these scraps. And I asked him, what's happening with those? And he said, oh, they're going to the landfill. I said, oh, no. They're going into my car now. So my studio is piled high with these pieces that are left over from him making tablecloths. And I sat down and I said, well, what can I do with it? And I decided I can make shopping bags out of them. So that's where they've come from. I make shopping bags. They go back over to him. He cuts them out. And we've got a symbiotic relationship going on that's great. And they've worked out very nicely. They come in all kinds of colors. They're large, they're durable, they're washable, and you'll love them.
My work deals with the urban environment in general. I'm really interested in the way that huge structures in the city that people overlook, things like billboards, gasometers, even huge water towers, people really see them as eyesores, or they just don't appreciate the inherent value and beauty in them. When I first moved from England, I was lucky enough to get a studio out here at Hunters Point, overlooking this view you can see behind me. And I would come in the morning and I would leave in the late afternoon, and the light would change the whole feel of this place. And I could really begin to see how beautiful even environments like this are. My drive out here is I go under underpasses and overpasses, and it's just really urban and it's derelict, and it's really quite beautiful whatever time of the day you see it. I'm primarily a printmaker. So I work in monotype, which enables me to make several prints of one image, and I can change the colours and the mood. I can bring atmosphere in, which is really what I'm interested in. I'm trying to bring a sense of atmosphere and place to these objects. Somebody once described it to me as ugly beautiful. You take what is perceived as ugly and you turn it into something that's beautiful with the way the light shines on it, the way it changes. So that's really my primary interest. I take objects and I squeeze them into the picture plane. So I take a really huge object like a billboard and I'll squeeze it into the picture frame so that you get that sense that it's a huge structure. And I make prints that are much larger than usual. I make prints that are maybe 60 inches by 40, so they really do give you that dynamic feel.